We looked at different ways of measuring purity. So the decision that we want to make is the one that will increase the purity. Now, increasing the purity is possible by sending only one sample to the decision branch. So that doesn't help us because the other branch may get all the mixed training samples from both classes, and that will become impure. So we want to get a sense of balanced purity. So let's say we have this decision threshold and we get n different samples here, and now we basically and they are, let's call it n0, right? And these n0 are actually divided into n01 and n02. So for the two classes, so n01 are from class 1 and n02 are from class 2. So what is the probability of class 1? That is n01 divided by n01 plus n02. Okay, so that is P1. So this is P1. P1 at the 0th node is n01 by n01 plus n02. Okay, and now if we split, some training points go to the left, the other go to the right. Okay, so here now these get split into two different sets of training points. Okay, so this could also be a mix of two different training points. So this is branch 1, this is branch 2. So we get n11 and n12. Here we get n21 and n22. Okay, this is from class 1, this is from class 2, this is from class 1, this is from class 2, this is from class 1, this is from class 2. Okay, so here for the second branch, our P21 is going to be n21 divided by n21 plus n22. Okay, so that is our probability of class 1 on the second branch. Alright, so now we want these branches to be pure on an average. Okay, we want them to be more pure compared to the parent branch from which the points are being split. Okay, so we want maximum increase in impurity or maximum decrease in impurity. So if we look at impurity, let's look at entropy for example. So let's say we have entropy. Okay, so we want entropy of P11, P12, okay, and we want entropy of the other branch, entropy of P21 and P22. Okay, and we want a weighted sum of these entropies. Okay, what is the weighted sum? Weighted by the number of nodes that they are, number of training points that they are handling. So what is the weight here? The weight here is going to be the number of training points that are coming here, which is basically the sum of these two. Okay, n11 plus n12. Okay, and here it is going to be n21 plus n22. Okay, divided by the total number of training points, which is n11 plus n12 plus n21 plus n22, or simply put it is going to be n01 plus n02, which is same as the sum of the 4 set of training points that are in the numerator. So this is your average, weighted average impurity. Okay, weighted average entropy. Okay, and now we've subtracted from the entropy of what is coming in to the parent. Okay, so what is coming into the parent is the entropy of P01 and P02. Okay, so this minus the weighted entropy of its children. This is parent's entropy and this is weighted average of children entropy. The ones below that are the children entropy. Okay, so this has to be the maximum decrease. Okay, the children should be on an average with the weighted average more pure than the parent. Okay, only then we are making better decisions in the children. Okay, so we have to find the variable and the threshold such that it will lead to the maximum decrease in impurity. Okay. Instead of entropy, you can plug in Gini impurity. Instead of or you can plug in negative of purity of that max that I was talking about. Any of these are possible. Which one works better? There's no. They are only under certain assumptions. Some of the metrics of purity or impurity work better than the others. You can try. Usually, entropy and Gini work very similar to each other in practical sense. So now let's look at what is to be found at this node. So here we have to look at all possible dimensions of X and all possible thetas or the thresholds of that dimension. Okay, so how many dimensions there are? Okay, there are, let's say, d dimensions, and in general, let's say if I have x1 and x2, I have 2 dimensions. All right, in this d-dimensional space, if I look at all the points that there are, okay, and I project them to x1 dimension or x2 dimension, let's take x1 as an example, then I can, wherever 2 points fall, so let's say if you look at this, let me change the color now. Let's look at, oops, my color didn't change. Let's look at where this point projects on axis x1 and the other point projects on axis x1. Okay, so between these two I can make a decision threshold anywhere. Okay, between these 2 points I can make a decision threshold anywhere. So how many total decision thresholds there are? Okay, there are n plus 1 thresholds where n is the number of training points. I can actually have something here, I can have something here between 2 points, something here, and so forth. And for the lack of better threshold between any 2 points, we'll take the bisector of the 2 points, anything that is between 2 neighboring points, so that the margin is maximized. Other than that, if you get slightly closer to 1 point than the other neighbor, that doesn't matter. So in general, we have n plus 1 decisions to be made. Actually not n plus 1, it is n minus 1. Why? Because we don't have a decision to make if they were all of the same classes. So we will never be on one side, on the outside of any of these points. So in general, for d dimensions, we have n minus 1 decisions to make. So if we pick all the features one by one, we have d features, and all the gaps between the points one by one, we have n points. So we get n minus 1 points. So these many decisions we have to make at any given node, maximum number of decisions. But once we get to the leaf nodes, below the root node, then it is going to be this number of decisions will decrease, because we are now looking at a smaller set of points. So we will have d times whatever n1 we have minus n minus 1, and d times n2 minus 1, where n1 plus n2 is equal to n, and so forth. Okay, so that is how the number of decisions that we'll have to make will keep going down. Okay, so the complete algorithm will be that start at root node. Okay, find optimal xi theta j combination. Okay, let's look at the algorithm for a particular node. So what is the algorithm for a particular node? That examine all points coming to a node. Incoming. Okay, so for the root node, this will be all the training points. For the nodes below the root node, it will be whatever is being sent to them by the parent nodes. Okay, if pure, then label and terminate. Okay, else, okay, find xi and theta j to maximize average purity or minimize average impurity. And then what we will do is recurse, okay, over the children node. So this is for one node, and this works for root node also, and it has a termination condition for leaf nodes also. Now the complete algorithm is going to be start at root with all training data, okay, run the node algorithm, okay, recurse node algo, recurse as in recursive, apply it recursively to child 1 and recurse node algo to child 2. Okay, that's pretty much it. So now what can happen with this kind of an algorithm is that we will keep getting the tree that is deeper and deeper, which will have more and more branches, and potentially the number of internal nodes can be, in a pathological case, same as the number of, or very close to the number of training samples, because for each training sample you have to make a separate decision, and none of the training samples can be combined into a single decision. An efficient tree would be where a leaf node actually represents many training examples as opposed to few training examples. Okay, so that means you are not dividing the space by too many axis aligned boundaries. So that would be the complete, that would be a more generalized tree, in the sense that the tree hypothesis class is well suited for the data that is given to you. If the leaf nodes have only one or two training examples each that are reaching each leaf node, then that means it's not a good hypothesis class. The tree is probably not a good hypothesis class for this particular data. So the depth of the tree is a representation of overfitting. If it is too deep, then it is overfitting. Okay, because you may be able to fit exactly to the training data, but that same tree will actually start to make mistakes when you are looking at validation or test data. Okay, so that is basically one of the dangers of the tree. If you have a very deep tree such that all leaves are pure, then you can have overfitting. So to prevent overfitting, we will do pruning of the tree. So what we will do is, let's say we have a tree like this. Okay, we may not want to go very deep. We will say that we will prune the tree, and what I mean by pruning is that I will draw a line and say that this does not exist. I will make a decision here itself, okay, and I will basically cut out any branches that are going below a certain depth. And how will I make that decision? So one way to decide on the depth at which I will cut the tree is to arbitrarily decide that I will have only depth of size d, and d is some small value. It could be 3 or 4, etc. The other way of doing this would be that we look at validation data. So with validation data, we decide that at a certain depth, so there are different depths, there's another depth here, there's another depth here, whichever depth gives us the best validation accuracy, we will keep it at that. Okay, and then we will forget about trees that are deeper than that. So there are different ways of pruning the tree.